Hello everyone and welcome back to another Dragon Ball Legends video. Today we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the best characters for the new Challenge Rush mode. If you guys enjoy, of course, hit that subscribe if you're new for more content. Also, so I've gone through and completed every single stage, and you'll find a playlist for them down below in the description. If you want to see my strategy, hear my tips for that specific stage, generally in the first few minutes of the specific video, you guys can check those out down below to get a little more insight. But what I'm going to do here is provide you guys with some of the main units that I might have mentioned at different points in some of those videos and explain why they're good on the stage. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So the first thing we're going to start off with is the vaunted Nappa strategy. Now, you don't actually even need to use Nappa, but I mean, I guess you could if you really want to complete that EX requirement. But we'll talk about some better EXs in a moment. The only thing you really need to know about the Nappa cards is they have a really good Z ability versus specific stages. So versus Element Yellow, you get another 12% at this level of Z ability. I believe this is 3-star, 5-star, it goes up to 17, and then if you have them at 7-star, it's 18%. So long story short, this one is good for, again, just adding on bonus damage. Helps you out if you're not in a position where you have a lot of limit breaks or things like that. This will help out quite a bit. So we also do have the Yellow Nappa, who's a hero character. I'm sure you guys have these characters. Like, unless you're brand new to the game, literally just started, you haven't pulled them yet, maybe, but you'll pull them soon enough, trust me. He does the same thing versus purple elements. The percentages are a little bit lower, a couple of percentage points lower. But other than that, same exact idea. So you put them on the team. You don't even need to take them into battle, again, because Z abilities are always active, even for the characters that are not in the battle. So the characters that do enter get the bonus damage versus the specific requirement. So, you know, we have that for yellow and purple, but we don't have these types of Z abilities for any other color. So hopefully we get, I guess, 3 more Nappa cards or cards like Nappa to help out with the other colors. So we're going to now jump into talking about characters that are good and also could help you with a couple of things like completing the EX requirement, but mainly what I want to do as far as this is concerned is talk about EX characters and other characters for this portion that are good at applying buffs upon defeat or switch buffs. There's a lot of characters that apply switch buffs specifically, like EX Whis, for example. He gives damage bonuses to God Key characters. So he's not on my list, but just keep in mind there are a lot of characters like that. So I'm mainly trying to focus more on characters that when defeated apply a buff, and then we'll come back and talk about characters that actually when allies are defeated get better, right? So if you're going to play this mode, you probably go in and expect to lose characters. Now, there is a whole strategy where you use characters that, again, go down early on in the battle, and they just supercharge the other characters, and then you basically beat the events with 1 or 2 characters. And that's not my playstyle generally, but again, there is some merit to it. So we're going to start off talking about GT Trunks. Now, GT Trunks is a little bit of both. So when he switches out, he applies buffs to Hybrid Saiyans or GT characters for the most part. That's basically what he wants to be alongside. So he can be on that green team for that blue stage, right? Him and GT Goku work very, very well together, especially because GT Goku is a blast-focused unit. So for the main ability as well, he even restores the health of the characters, shortens substitution count. Like, he's very, very good if you want to go ahead and use him overall. But when he is defeated, he applies plus 25% to blast damage inflicted by allies, plus 15% to damage inflicted by GT or Hybrid Saiyan. So general damage and blast damage as well. Very, very good combo. So other than that, when he comes out, you know, the switch buff is still a thing too. Also restores ki. Very good character. So you'd want to kind of utilize him if you have access to him. And you don't, you know, in my videos, I stuck to using mono teams because when it comes to singular color and it being a boss type thing, that's generally how I run those types of events in this game or other games. But you don't need to run mono. Like, if you're running the yellow stage, right, with the yellow team versus the purple stage, you can do the same thing. Bring the Trunks, use him for what he's worth versus that team, and of course he's going to be at a disadvantage, but he'll be very good with GT Vegeta for that yellow team stage. So keep that in mind. You don't have to run that. So here's Facha, who is probably one of the most splashable characters among different stages. You can literally take Facha to most stages and apply her buff because it doesn't really matter. You can take her to every stage, to be honest, but it just kind of depends on what you have. Other than that, whether or not you'd be able to beat the stage. So Facha does one thing and one thing only that's incredibly good. So when she is defeated, she inflicts all enemies with the attribute downgrade plus 30% to damage received, making them take 30% more damage. That, for example, in conjunction with a Nappa strategy, is nuts. Like, these are things that make it to where you don't need a lot of limit breaks or things like that just to, you know, get by. You can do these. Now, the only issue with this type of stuff, where it's a downgrade on the enemy, is there are enemies in these events that are immune to stuff like that, downgrades or status elements, stuff like that. So, you know, you have to keep that in mind. But for the most part, this is a very, very good strategy to utilize. Facha is one of the best characters for this event because of that. Also, we have Tora, who's not anywhere near as good, but if you're taking on a stage with a Bardock unit, you can actually benefit by an 80% blast damage increase. The only downside of this is that, like, no Bardock cards are even, like, blast-based, really. We have this defense one, but, like, whatever. So, yeah, 80%, guys, 80%. So, Android 16 here is also very, very good for a lot of the same reason. He does a couple of things that are really good for allies. Main ability reduces allies' strike and blast arts cost, so you can consider that, again, for any stage you want. But he's also particularly good on the yellow team stage if you have the yellow sparking Cell, because of the fact that he's an android. Cell is an android, so he'd be able to benefit from the full effects of these effects from Android 16 here. So when he's defeated, plus 30% to allies inflicted damage for 20 counts. The only downside of this is that it's such a potent buff, but it's count restricted, so you have to be aware of that. But also, plus an additional 15% of damage inflicted by android characters for 20 counts. So Cell is getting almost 50% damage inflicted bonus, right? Also, this character's green card, bonuses 15% to allies inflicted damage for 20 counts, and another plus 10% for android characters. Yeah, so Cell with this guy is very good, regardless of if he's defeated or not, just in general. Very good duo. Now we have Super Saiyan Goku. So Super Saiyan Goku is a very good character as well if he's on those teams. You know, Yellow has access to a number of these characters, it seems. So when it comes to Goku, he generally wants to be alongside Sun Family characters or Goten and Gohan, ideally, right? But applies the following effects to allies when this character is defeated. It restores their health by 15%. That's very good. That's the first of its kind of what we looked at so far, I believe. Plus 30% of damage inflicted as well. Plus 30% to key recovery. And if there's Sun Family characters on his team, their ultimate damage goes up by 15%. And it is not count restricted. You can literally bring this character and the next character we're going to talk about, have them both go down. Ideally Goku first, so you can utilize this guy's ultimate. And then, like, supercharge whoever the last character is. Like, that's nuts. And then, of course, the healing. The healing is crazy because it adds for more longevity, right? So you're just going to be able to just do a ton of damage. Future Gohan. So Future Gohan here is one of the best ones at doing this. And I'd say he was like one of the first characters that came out with this specifically being his main focus. So when he is defeated, he gives a 30% strike damage inflicted bonus, 35% to key recovery increase, arts card draw speed level +1, also 15% to damage inflicted by tag future. Remember how I said, oh yeah, the Android 16 is really good with Cell. This guy's probably better with Cell, you know, because he's a future character too. So, like, Yellow has access to a lot of very beneficial KO'd units and then also beneficiaries, right? So this is very, very crazy. So if you have a future tag character, he'll be able to benefit greatly from that, which we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. So we have Paiku on here, who to a lesser extent is good, but +5 to enemy substitution count for 30 counts when defeated is whatever. Just wanted to put him in here because he does have an effect like that that could be usable. Now, one of the biggest beneficiaries of this card, remember how I said you don't have to take characters to the specific stage, run a full advantaged team. You can take him onto the blue team stage versus the red event. He'll go down quite easily, right? So it is what it is. If you do get a chance to use him, you know, he can heal, he can remove their buffs and stuff like that with his ultimate. He has some really good viability, but he can go down and he can supercharge your Trunks. Now, this is the ideal duo anyway. This is something that they purposely plotted out as far as making Trunks insanely good, because not only does Trunks pick up the buffs from Future Gohan, a couple of things happen here too. So, plus 15% to damage inflicted per defeated battle member, plus 30% to own key recovery when allied character Gohan is defeated. So he picks up these bonuses too, alongside all the buffs he would pick up from Gohan. And then also plus 30% to strike damage when Gohan is a battle member too. So, like, yeah, that's something you can really, really easily cheese, right? So you can take Future Gohan, you can take this Trunks, and then as far as another blue character goes, again, unless you're trying to get the EX requirement, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. but you can consider any of these top level, top row characters here. They're all very, very good on this stage, right? Some of them better than others. Like this Blue Goku is one of the best characters you could possibly take because of the green card healing. Overall, not on my list, but still stuff like that. So now we have a look at one of the other blue characters there, Gohan. So Gohan is good simply because if you can take him alongside the Goku strategy, like I mentioned earlier, where Goku restores health, all of that. But if a Goku is defeated, this Gohan picks up another 45% of strike damage inflicted. And also, he cover cuts for 60%. Yeah, when he has 2 battle members, cover cuts for 60%. So very good. Very, very good character. All right, so now we're going to start talking about characters that are a little bit better whenever they're the last man standing type of character, right? So there are a number of characters that excel in this scenario, so we're going to talk about a bunch of them. So this Vegeta is cool for a couple of things. For one, early on in the battle, he's good for switch buffs on hybrids and full-on Saiyans, plus 20% of damage inflicted. But the following effects occur when 2 allies are defeated. Draws a special arts card next, the green card, restores his own health by 50% and ki by 60%, plus 70% to strike damage, reduces damage received by 50% for 10 counts, and when he enters the battlefield, he gets a 20% ki recovery per defeated Bulma or Vegeta family character. So this guy with somebody like GT Trunks, for example, would be cool because he's a blast-based unit anyway, even though he picks up a lot of strike buffs. A lot of his other kit is blast-based. Green card gives him a ton of blast attack increase, and overall, a very, very good character for that last man standing, and healing is amazing. I don't really need to mention this character, so I'm not really going to. Don't really need to talk about him. Or really Goten, for that matter. So, Goten, though, whenever the Goku is defeated, he gets another 45% of blast damage. Not to mention all the other buffs he gets in here, so like I'm not going to talk a lot about the legendary finish units. They're good enough. Rubrian is amazing. Here's a couple of reasons as to why. So, Rubrian, again, she has an ultimate, she has no switching, yada yada, all that stuff. But what makes her also really, really good is plus 30% to strike damage inflicted per defeated battle member. It doesn't have to be female warriors. She can run on a mono blue team, and if they go down, she's going to be insanely good, especially depending on who you choose to go down for her, right? Pause. And then also, if they are female warriors, Facha, hello, plus 25% more damage inflicted. So 30% to strike and then 25% to general damage. Yep. And she's also got, you know, damage, sustained cut, stuff like that. So Rubrian is amazing, especially in tandem with Facha. Again, so there's another way you guys can run this. Videl here is a character that gets bonuses for defeated battle members like the Vegeta. Bardock here as well, something similar, plus 50% to ki recovery. Not too worth mentioning. He does have some blast orientation in here, plus 15% when a Saiyan's a battle member. So, you know, this Bardock is not as good as he once was. Hopefully he gets a buff sometime soon, but Tora can work pretty well with this guy. I wouldn't really try to go double EX though. But that being said, if you guys enjoyed, had fun, hit that subscribe if you're new for more content. Remember to check out the videos down below to see some more visual representation, and I'll catch all of you guys in the next one.